special advisor to Trump. Now, please tell Trump to save our life in Nigeria.
President Trump is threatening to go to war on Nigeria a day after designating the West African nation a country of particular concern over the killings of thousands of Christians there. Stephanie Bennett is live in London with more on this. Stephanie.
Hey, John. Yeah, the president has been very vocal in the last 24 hours on Truth Social. I want to read you just a couple excerpts of one that came out 5 minutes ago. The president said, quote, if the Nigerian government continues to allow the killings of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now, quote, disgraced country, guns a-blazing, he says. He is then hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. And he also says in that post, warning the Nigeria government better move fast. Now, yesterday, the president posted also on Truth Social announcing that he was going to put this country as a country of particular concern, saying something must be done. He's now asking Congressman Riley Moore, Chairman Tom Cole, and the House Appropriations Committee to look into it and to report back.
I think this is going to make a huge difference, and we're going to get right to work on this and get to the bottom of what's happening and give President Trump a full menu of options that we can use to try to stop these killings.
Yeah, and Moore says there's about 15 possible options, including suspension of security assistance and targeted sanctions. Nigeria is, of course, considered one of the most dangerous places in the world to be a Christian, according to the well-regulated Open Doors International Group. Over the years, thousands of Christians have been killed in churches, schools, and entire villages have been burned. Some even brand it a genocide. The Nigerian government vowed today to keep fighting violent extremism and said it hoped Washington would remain a close ally. But some analysts blame the country's inability to protect its citizens over that wide spectrum of armed groups that operate across the country, including Boko Haram.
We have no fear of whatever Trump is doing.
Trump's 2024 campaign promise, if we remember, was explicitly about avoiding new wars, saying he would stop wars, not start them. But in his post about Nigeria, he threatens to send U.S. forces guns a-blazing. That's important, and even orders the Department of War to prepare for possible action. How large will this action be? We don't know yet, but he describes a possible attack as fast, vicious, and sweet. What led to Trump's warning here? The U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom recently urged Washington to label Nigeria a country of particular concern in 2025 due to ongoing persecution of both Christians and Muslims. A bill was also introduced in the Senate to sanction Nigerian officials accused of enabling violence against Christians specifically. Both Christians and Muslims suffer violence, though the dynamics differ by region. The North is predominantly Muslim, while the South is largely Christian. Meanwhile, Amnesty International says Nigerian authorities have failed to protect citizens from daily armed attacks, leading to thousands and thousands of deaths and a growing humanitarian crisis in the north. Its investigation found that over 10,000 people have been killed in specifically armed attacks of all kinds, not just religion-based, across several states since the current government took power.
Yeah, the President of the United States just threatened to send the country to war via Truth Social post. This is the act of a deranged person. Either that or he's trying to distract us from an absolutely crumbling economy. Or maybe he feels like he wasn't getting enough attention today, and so he posts this so he can get his fix. Either way, in my opinion, Donald Trump appears to be losing it. And the people around him have to step in. They have to come forward and say something. And it's time for the 25th Amendment.
Is Trump really trying to play in our faces with this strategic messaging about Nigeria? So he just called Nigeria a country of particular concern because, in his words, Christians are being slaughtered. And he is talking about the 3,100 Christians who've sadly been killed, right? But we need to slow that right down, because when you use faith like that and you ignore the Muslims dying too, it starts to feel like their lives don't count. And more than that, it hides what's actually driving the violence, because do you really think that this is about religion? Anyway, I need you guys to stick with me so you can see what's actually going on here, right? It's the same conflict, same killers, and this isn't new. It's chaos that's been brewing for years. Armed groups, gunmen, rogue herders, all moving through gaps that the governments have failed to fill, right? Isn't this the same play that we've seen in Haiti, Sudan, DRC? Convenient? Break the state, then swoop in with a savior story. Why now? Why Nigeria? Well, here's what they're not saying, right? Nigeria's got $40 billion in oil exports, some of the largest gas reserves in Africa, solid minerals, gold, lithium, tin, resources that maybe the US needs, especially in a Cold War with China. And it's not just what's underground, is it? It's the land. The Middle Belt grows the food that feeds the nation, fertile, rain-fed, high yield. And guess where the most violence hits? Right there. And I need to clarify, right? People aren't being killed just because they're Christian. They're being killed because they're in the way. And many of them happen to be Christian because that's what it dominates that area, right? So this isn't just about faith. It's about land control, food and power. That same zone full of ginger farms, mineral-rich soil, and foreign players are circling. The Gates Foundation invested in smallholder farming, agri-tech, yield targets. This is not a conspiracy, right? This is public record. But when the West enters through aid, it rarely ever stops at support. And some will say that these killers don't move alone, right? They're backed, tolerated, or armed by whoever's buying access. Local counterparts, foreign deals, the highest bidder. So when you hear Christian persecution, ask what's really at stake and how close the nearest air path is, right? Because China's already in, right? Ports, refineries, defense deals, ammunition, factories. And now Trump wants Congress to get involved. That's not just concern. That's positioning. Because when America talks about saving Christians overseas, come on, man, is this really about faith? It looks like it might be a green light. It moves money, activates voters, justifies presence. And while that's happening, he's also saying, you know what? Maybe we should save Nigeria's best talent and make them come over and move to America. So which is it? Are you worried about the people dying? Or are you more concerned about scouting the ones who survive? That's not rescue, that's resource control. So what's the play? If I'm Nigeria, I tighten internal defense, limit foreign boots. If I'm a citizen, start asking who's funding the next rescue mission. This isn't about God, is it? What is it about? Nigeria's rise, the deals, the land, the leverage. Have they made it too powerful to ignore?
I just can't understand why anybody will wake up and say that we're killing people when we're actually not doing the same. And guess what? Where the Giwa barracks you were talking about, we have all the humanitarian agencies working there. You have the UN working, local and international organizations are working. Are we saying they are complicit? There is nothing we're doing in the back. So if they don't say it, which means Amnesty International is equal, and Amnesty is equally there. So which means they're equally accusing all these other organizations of being complicit.
So just to be clear, you would be prepared to go to the ICJ in The Hague and answer these accusations?
We're not scared of anything because we don't have anything of such.
We've seen Boko Haram regroup and regroup and regroup. What is your answer to that? That you have in some way fed the insurgents?
The problem is that I think we've talked to the international community. Let's find out the funding. When they started surrendering, by the time we left, so as we speak, we have over 120,000 that have surrendered. Most of them, when you find them, they are coming with hard currencies. How did they get them? How are they funded? How did they get the training? How did they get the equipment?
What is your suspicion?
Well, maybe an international conspiracy, you don't know. Who knows? How are they be able to sustain themselves for 15 years? That is one question I think everybody should ask himself. For Nigeria to be able to hold them, and you go to Nigeria, everything seems to be working well.
You must have an idea. I mean, let's not talk about international conspiracy theories. Let's give some hard facts.
Well, I just leave it at that. I'm sure they know, and I'm sure everybody knows that these are the challenges we're facing, that needs to be addressed. So the UN need to come in to ensure that, because we need to trace the funding. How are they sustaining themselves for 15 years?
What does the UN coming in mean? What does that look like?
Track the funding. It's international flow. We don't have control over that.
Whose interest is it to see Nigeria destabilized?
Well, I don't know. You don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Adam, are we doing well?
Very well.
Are you sure?
We are grateful. We are good to go.
Thank you very much.